Salut survivors, welcome to SolutOdka's channel in Medieval Dynasty. Farming is a fundamental pillar in Medieval Dynasty. It will of course provide to you food, but several byproducts for construction materials among others. Therefore, this guide about farming. During this video, I will first share with you the basic principles on how to build a field and how does the field mechanic work. After which, I will go in detail through every seed and season and the parameters around this and where to find every seed currently available in the game. Lastly, we will go through the barn and the NPC workers working as farmers and field workers and how to automate farming in the game. If you find this video in any way useful, please like, subscribe and share. Also, to be noted is that this game is early access. We should expect additional content soon, such as alcohol, and also, most likely, balances and changes through patches and hotfixes. Now, let's get straight to the video. How to make a field. So, in order to make a field, you are going to utilize a hammer and a hoe. So the first thing with your hammer will be to select a building under the category farming and then a field. From there, you can set up with your hammer the footprint of your field. You can see at the bottom of the screen here, field 2x2. Well, you can make it 10x5, 1x1, you can make it as you want. And then you have this footprint established with little sticks. Afterwards, you need to utilize your hoe in order to till every square of the footprint of the field. After having done that, your field is ready for its utilization. So that's how you make a field. Afterwards, in order to utilize the field or seed it, you are going to have 3 steps that you need to repeat every time you want to plant. These 3 steps are first to put the fertilizer, so you need a bag for this purpose. Then in the bag, with the right click, you pick fertilizer. Obviously you need fertilizer in your bag. Then you add the fertilizer on every square that you want to till and seed. After having added the fertilizer, you need to till the soil. Once again, you can see the design has changed here now. It's looking at the fertilized floor, and afterwards you get back with your bag and you pick the seeds of what you want to plant with right click. In this example, I am here planting cabbage on the field. There, our field is planted. Now, a couple of tips. One is to purchase a bag at the start of the game is actually relatively expensive. So what you can do is not buy a bag, but you can craft a simple bag. It's only costing 3 leather. So of course the simple bag will deplete fast, but to get started is very convenient to make a simple bag. Another tip is when you are with your hammer and you need to put a field, you are not allowed to put a field adjacent or right adjacent to an existing field or structure. You will lose some space. So don't make your fields too small. This 2x2 is obviously too small. It's just for the sake of the example here. You should make your field, I don't know, 40, 50 in size. Right? And then here you can see in between this big field here and this big field here, there is this space wasted in between. In this game, there are multiple seeds and obviously 4 seasons. Different seeds can be planted at different seasons and can be harvested at other seasons. In order to gain an overview, I felt the best is to prepare the following summary table. In that table, you can see at the top the planting season of the different seeds from spring to winter. And on the left, in the lines, the different seasons where you can harvest from spring to autumn. So, what you can plant in spring and harvest in summer are cabbage, flax, and onion. What you can plant in spring and harvest in autumn are beetroot, oat, and wheat. The only plant you can plant in summer is cabbage, and you can harvest it in autumn. Finally, what you can plant in autumn is rye, to be harvestable in spring, and wheat, that you can harvest on the following summer. Lastly, the only plantable plant for winter is carrots. Now, some additional tips for this is obviously based on this design or mechanism of the seeds over the seasons. You can spread the work of your farmers over the year. Additionally, you need to be aware that if you fertilize a plot during winter, for example, in anticipation of seeding it in spring, the fertilizer will be wasted. When you change of season, if a fertilized plot has not been seeded, the fertilizer is gone, and you will need to fertilize again in spring. It is very recommended to invest in seeds early in the game, because every time you harvest, you earn new seeds. So if on year 1 you plant 10 cabbages, for example, you will get back much more than 10 seeds, and therefore for the year 2 you will have the seeds available. Lastly, I need to point out, I think that there are some more important seeds in the early game compared to others. For example, cabbage. Cabbage can be planted twice a year, planted in spring, harvested in summer, planted in summer, harvested in autumn. And this is used for a very simple cooking recipe which sells for good money and provides good nutrition, potage. Second good one is flax. Flax is necessary in order to produce linen. So this is a raw material critical in starting your economy in your village. Lastly, wheat is used to produce flour, of course, but also animal feed. Therefore, cabbage, flax, and wheat would be my recommendation on how to get started as a priority with your farm. At the beginning of the game, you start close to the city of Gostovia, where you will be able to find multiple seeds. However, not all the seeds are available in Gostovia, and in order for you to obtain the other seeds, you will need to travel a little bit. In Gostovia, you will be able to find the seeds for carrot, onion, flax, rye, and wheat. In order to obtain beetroot and cabbage, you will have to travel to Denica. But you can also find beetroot as well as oat in Rolnica. Lastly, another option for you to get your first cabbage seeds is to travel to Baranica in the north. A key building in the game in order for you to practice farming is a barn. The barn is used for multiple purposes. Aside from having field workers and farmers, NPCs to work for you, you can utilize the barn for producing flour, producing dough, animal feed, fertilizer, and to threshold all of the cereals such as wheat, rye, oat, and flax. In order to manage your barn, and what your NPC workers will be doing in there, you need to go to the Management tab. Once in the Management tab, you go to look at the buildings and select your barn. Once you go in your barn, you can open Details and you will see there your workers. You can either have farmers or field workers. The farmers are the workers who work inside the barn to produce flour, dough, fertilizer, animal feed, and to threshold the cereals. The field workers are the workers that are working in the field, as its name. And they are the ones who are going to harvest, fertilize, and seed the new vegetables, cereals, and flax. As you can see here, the skill requirement of farming is highlighted in green for the farmers, but not for the field workers. So the ones with the highest farming skills that you have should be working as farmers in the barn. The ones who have a lower skill should be working as field worker. However, to be noted is that the field worker will gain farming skill over time while working in the field. In order for you to give work and instructions to your farmers, you need to go to this tab here in the management of your barn. In this tab, you can then dictate to them if you want them to produce fertilizer or to use a threshold with the flax grain, oat grain, rye grain, and wheat grain, or if you want them to produce flour from the kernel, or dough and animal feed with the third production equipment or crafting table inside the barn. There you can define them what percentage of their time they should be producing flour, or should they be utilizing the rye grain to separate the rye grain from the stalks, the straws, or the flax stalk from the flax grain in order to produce linen. That's how you give instructions to the farmer workers. Now, as mentioned earlier, you have the farmer workers and you also have the field workers. In order to give instructions to the field worker, you need to go back to your management tab in the tab for the fields. Now, inside this menu, you have a list of all your fields and a quick overview on their status, as you can see here. If you go inside a field, for example here for my field 1 of a size of 50, 5 by 10, you press F. Now when you see that menu, you can observe what is the status of the field. In my case here, we can observe that I have 2 lines of 10 wheat and that they are actually growing at the moment. We are in spring. Then I have 2 lines of rye, and you can see that some have been harvested already by the field workers and some are ready for harvest. We are going to observe him in a second. Lastly, you can see my cabbages here. So you can modify in your menu here. For example, if instead of planting cabbages here, I would like to plant onion, I'm going to select onion and simply drag the onions here. For the action to take effect, you need to escape and accept with F. Now it has changed from cabbage to onion in my field number 1. As we could see, the rye was being harvested, and we can see here the field worker doing its job. It's Rajner. Rajner is currently harvesting. So to show you again, here under the tab Management, Field 1, then you can see that the orange area, the ready for harvest, has decreased compared to a minute ago because Rajner has harvested this part. So you have in real time the situation of all of your fields, and you can change the instructions of your field workers through this field management menu. Good job, Rajner. Keep it going. Now, I would like to share with you a couple of tips before closing this video guide. Number 1. Do not fertilize fields ahead of time, as when changing of season, it gets wasted. For example, if you would be preparing your fields during winter, having in mind to seed them in spring, you would need to fertilize again in spring. Number 2. Some seasons will have extensive field work. Others will have a very low workload for field workers, such as winter. During that idle time, you can either make them build new fields, otherwise you can reassign them for winter to another workstation. Lastly, at the current development stage of the game, October 2020, the field workers do not utilize fertilizers from your storage and do not consume tools for planting, tilling, and harvesting. We can expect that it will change soon. In order to produce fertilizer, you will need manure, which is the output from the pigs in a pigsty. Please leave comments, suggestions, and additional tips in the comments down below. Also, do not forget to like and subscribe for more videos. And thank you for watching. See you soon for more Medieval Dynasty videos. Until then, have a good day. Cheers.